Welcome to On Hue, a podcast where we dive deep into the world of BIPOC beauty. I'm Renee.
And I'm Jess, and we are so excited to have you on this journey with us. Today we're going to dive into the why of On Hue and how Renee and I met. So, Renee, let's talk about how we met. Mm-hmm. And this was only 6 months ago.
Only 6 months ago.
Can you believe it?
I literally cannot believe it.
I feel like our friendship feels like forever.
Yeah, feels like so long ago. Well, we first met in March. Mm-hmm. Our sons play on the same basketball team for their school.
And they're amazing.
They're amazing. So amazing.
By the way, this is us all the time. Yeah. Like the giggles never stop. I feel like I'm in elementary school just giggling away. Yeah. Anytime memes, we record any content, any text messaging, it's just like LOL,
we're just
crying, laughing face. But our kids played basketball together.
Yeah. Our kids played basketball together, and after the game, which they won the whole tournament, my husband was like, oh, I want you to meet Ian's mom, Jess. And so we went, I met, and I was like, oh my gosh, who's this cute girl? Aww. Cute hair. She had on like a turtleneck, a cute sweatshirt, jeans.
My usual cool fit. Jeans. Literally, I wear the same thing all the time.
Yeah, super cool shoes. But I was like, I actually don't see girls that dress like that. So I was like, oh. And also, I was like, where is she from? Because I don't see LA girls dressed like that. So I was like, she must be from like the East Coast or somewhere.
Okay.
And so, we introduced ourselves and we're talking, and then
it's like, Renee, what do you do for work? I'm always so curious. I think like anytime I build a relationship with anyone, I'm genuinely interested in like what wakes them up in the morning. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like what actually drives you? I feel like relationships as an adult are pretty difficult. Yeah. Especially when you have kids and then a husband and then a career, and you add all of that into the mix. And I feel like building friendships are so hard. But with you and I,
it was just like, so I was like, oh, I'm a makeup artist. Jess was like, so am I.
Yeah.
Where are you from? I'm from the Midwest.
So am I.
And so it was instant.
Yeah. Both our kids play basketball.
Both our kids play basketball. Her husband looks like he could be my brother. My husband looks like she could be her brother.
I know. It was just kind of like such a synergetic like moment. Yeah. And I was just like,
we're in
a
Black Latino
no, literally.
households. Both of us.
And I was just honestly like so nervous. I was like, oh my God, is she gonna want to be my friend? I literally thought that when we left. I was like, I wonder if she wants to. Which sounds like so grade school, but I think it's so important to like have these conversations because I can imagine other adults feel the same way, where you're just like, they're super cool. Like, I want to be friends.
Can we be friends? No. And so then our boys signed up for another basketball
league
club.
At the Y.
Yeah, league. And when Jess came in with her family, I was like, oh, let me introduce you to all the other moms and parents. And I said, hey guys, this is Jess. And when I said that, I was like, oh, wait. Like in my head, first of all, I overthink everything. But second of all, I was
this is why we're friends.
Yeah. And it was like the rest of the time, I was like, wait, should I have said Jess? But it just rolled out so naturally because we were just like instant friends. Yeah. And I mean, you didn't say anything about it, but then I was like, it's just thinking that. Should I have said Jess?
It's Jessica.
It's Jessica. But no, it was cool. And then we sat together, and like this was actually our first time. Yeah. At the Y, just talking, and we had so much in common.
It was so fun.
The same interests.
I have zero idea what happened at practice. Yeah, and normally I'm so involved. I mean, you see me at the games.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like I be involved.
We them moms.
Yes. It's so embarrassing when I leave. I'm like, oh my God, I shouldn't have been yelling like that.
When I hear the back play, I'm like, it's you and I.
I think about that all the time. I'm like, Renee has everything I'm saying. Oh my gosh.
It's you and I.
Don't blackmail me. But the conversation was so good. We talked about so many different things, and it was just like it kept going and going and going and going. And then when practice was up, we were like, but why?
Yeah, we were like wait.
I guess I'll see you soon.
Yeah, but then remember how like excited we would be? We'd be like, oh, I guess I'll see you tomorrow. Because our boys literally practice together all the time. And so it was like, now it's like, oh, we see each other like probably like 3 to 4 times a week. So we're like, oh, I'll see
they also go to school together.
Yeah.
So
we're in each other's lives.
Yeah,
a lot.
for sure. And I like that.
Me
I
too.
feel like our relationship is definitely driven off of like being each other's best hype woman, which is so cool.
Yeah.
Because I think one of the things that, you know, I learned early on is like partnerships or relationships don't work if the other person's just not as excited to be in the same thing with you. Yeah. And I think that's why On Hue is like such a beautiful project, because anytime we talk about anything, we're literally so delusional, but in the best way ever, where we manifest and we like truly see the vision of what we hope On Hue will be one day. And it's like we have moments where we're literally like looking at each other about to cry, literally, because we're just so excited. I know when we practiced our like little intro, like when we first wrote it, we were like
we cry over everything.
But it's
nice. Good. It's good. And I think I love that, you know, you were saying each other's hype man. Whenever Jess has an idea or vice versa, we just hype each other up, and it's like with us, I think it's like the sky's the limit. Let's try it. Let's do it and see what happens.
Yeah. But I feel that confidence comes from just our natural personalities. I feel like being a freelance makeup artist, you have to have that. You have to have that like grit. You have to have that delusion in a sense where what you truly envision for yourself is something that you feel is going to come true. You know? So like, I don't know, what was your makeup journey like when you first started like in this whole world?
So mine started probably around when I was 8 or 9. I think I was in like 4th or 5th grade, so maybe I was 10. My mom introduced my sisters and I to her best friend. Her name's Deborah Earl, or she goes by Deborah Lake. And she was actually the makeup artist for Prince in his Purple Rain movie or video, whichever. You know, I was like, whoa, you know, first of all, the way that Deborah looked, she had like amazing eyebrows and like structure, you know, really pretty structured face and hair. She just looked like super cool. Okay. And this was my mom's friend and I mean, maybe we'd met her when I was younger, like when I was in kindergarten, but now that I was a little bit older, it was like, oh, like she is like, who is that person, you know? And so she was like, yeah, I'm a makeup artist. Her husband was like a huge model.
That's insane.
Yeah, they lived in like a cool, I don't even know, I think it was somewhere in Illinois maybe, that they lived in a cool house, and like, they were just like a cool couple. They're an interracial couple, which also, you know, that's how I grew up. So it was like, you know, that was also really cool for me to see. And so being a makeup artist, whatever that was, stuck with me. You know, I really got into, my sisters and I got into beauty, makeup, hair, fashion. We did all the things, all the trends. Definitely some pictures will be shown. Like I got into like Nick at Night. This was back in the day when they showed all the old black and whites. And so I was like, oh, I love those, the way the girls do their eyebrows. So I shaved my eyebrows off. This was for years. Shaved them off and would draw them in. Yeah, I have tons of pictures. I remember one time I was at a party.
You're so brave.
So brave. My mom, she was so mad. She was so mad. No eyebrows. I remember I was at a party and like, you know, this was in high school, and like dancing, like whatever, being funny and acting, you know, how I act, just goofy. And
which, by the way, it's a day when you spit the water.
Yeah, we were setting up and I just laughed so hard and spit the water out. That is me. I do that all the time. We're at this party, and then my friends were like, where are your eyebrows, Renee? And I looked in the mirror and had no eyebrows on. I'd like laughed them off, sweated them off. Like it was just gone. This was in like 10th grade.
She was avant-garde.
I was avant-garde. But so anyways, so just being in fashion, doing all these trends, I was just really into it. Eventually I went to school for fashion design after I graduated from high school. And then this was in Atlanta, and then I saw MAC, okay? And I was like, what is this place? Because previously you only see kind of like more conservative makeups.
Yeah,
retail
MAC was
stores.
pretty innovative.
MAC was
for
pretty
its
innovative.
time
Yeah.
as a company.
Yeah. It was
Everything
very
that had to
like
do with
artistic.
it. Yeah,
Like
like
artistry
pro
first.
artist.
Yeah. And that was what appealed to me. It was the Riches department store, which is now Macy's, at Lenox Mall. And I saw all these girls and guys roller skating. Everybody had cool hair. They had the short bangs.
The roller skates?
Yeah, I was like,
like, ma'am, can you roller skate?
Yeah, they're like roller skating
denied.
out and in. And I was just like, wow. But then also their makeup was amazing.
Yeah.
So I bought my first eyeshadow, which was Girly. Bought that there. Still have it to this day. Don't use it, but I still have it as a collector.
Coming with the pink eye.
Right, literally. And then I was like, I want to work here. Like, I want to see what this is about. But I wanted to actually I didn't want to work in a department store. I wanted to work at like a store, like a freestanding store.
Pro.
I said, I'm going to the top.
Immediately.
Yeah. So there was a pro store at Perimeter Mall. I had to go through the crazy application process.
God. The interview process for MAC is insane. It's like, you have your normal interview, then you have like a group interview, normal interview,
and then
you have your model interview.
Yeah.
I remember having mine in New York, and the way the girls were fighting.
Yeah.
Over, and like the trainers just had a ball. Yeah. They were like, LOL. You know?
Yeah. It was fun. Long story short, I got the job. And then they threw me out on the floor, after, first of all, also going shopping for the stuff from, to work for MAC. That was fun. You could be so creative. You had to wear all black, of course, but man.
You know how many years it took me to get out of all black?
Literally. I still do it though sometimes.
Years.
Yeah.
I do it now because I like, like that moody, sleek vibe.
Yeah.
But it was part of my persona. Like out of work, all black.
Yeah.
Kids party, all black.
Yeah.
To the beach, all black. Like it literally became part of my persona. And it wasn't until my son was, I think, like 4 that I was like, I gotta wear some color.
Be colorful. Yeah.
And I've never gone back.
Yeah. Okay. I still will do it. Yeah, I'll still do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You see me, I still do it.
Yeah.
So I worked for MAC. I remember going out, hands shaking, applying a mascara to somebody's eyelashes.
Oh my God.
But I loved that. I loved talking to people, getting to know them, getting to know where they're from, their culture.
Yeah.
And that's what drew me in. I transferred around with MAC, for 5 years, was in Connecticut, and then eventually out here in LA. And then once I got out here, there were so many things that you could do besides working in retail.
Yeah.
So a friend of mine and my husband's work, she was the art director for Vans. She was like, oh, I'm looking do you want to do hair and makeup for these campaigns? And I was like, sure. Like, what does that even mean?
Yeah.
First of all, I was in that skate surf world for so long.
Did you skate and surf? Or
no, but my husband doesn't surf, but he's like a skater. He's been skating since he was 5 years old. Him and his brothers are all skaters.
What?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God, that is so cool.
Does Dion skate?
He was in like a Lil Wayne skater era for a little bit, I think, like in high school. But Ian was like, once we moved to California, like he just really wanted to skate.
Yeah. So, Ben can teach him.
So they like dabble in it, but
okay, yeah.
Wait, that is so cool.
Abel doesn't skate. He scooters, but he was always afraid to skate. Yeah.
Me too.
I know, me too. I tried to learn actually because I was like, girls skating,
Yes, same. I'm like the coolest thing ever.
Love it.
And I tried, but the moment I had to like put both feet up, I was like, nah.
Yeah. It's still like, even thinking about it makes my heart like swell.
Not for me.
No.
Not for
Stay on
me.
the ground.
Yep.
And so that was my first campaign, was Vans. It was in 17 magazine. It was in all these magazines. And I loved that freelance world. Having my own schedule, doing my own thing.
That's the best part.
Yeah, it's the best part. And then campaigns led to, I did commercials, obviously bridal, TV, film. And then eventually I started working with celebrities. This was in 2011 or 2012. And I stuck in that world. I like that world, working with different brands, different celebrities. The hours are really great.
Yeah.
You get to do, like, I just really like doing all these going on different sets and different things and
that's
award
what keeps
shows.
the job like so fun.
Yeah.
Is the ability to kind of float around in different spaces.
Yeah.
But with floating around in different spaces, we've also seen so many things.
Yeah.
That are amazing, and other things that are not so pleasant, which we're super excited to talk about on this podcast.
I want to know your story.
My story. Yeah. Okay. So long story short, I had a similar experience where I was like 9 years old too. And my mom used to go shopping at Limited Too.
Love.
And when she would come home with these like jumbo size shopping bags, back when they didn't charge you for bags, because I think she would have been like, I'll take my items.
Right.
Back when they didn't charge you for bags, she would come home with these jumbo size shopping bags from Limited Too. And I just remember like the body glitters, the NSYNC, Backstreet Boys, Pink, like all the little like mini like
nail
audio things, the audio things that you can listen to, and then nail polish, everything, all the good stuff. And there was a magazine in there, like their little catalog, and I remember taking it out and just being like, this is so cool. Like they're also, like people can be models.
Places need to bring back catalogs.
Yeah, those are inspiring. So fun. They're so inspiring, and I feel like true creativity goes into creating them, right? So when I was looking at it, I was like, people can be models. That's like the first time I was like, okay, someone can be a model. Yeah. And then B, who's doing their hair? Right. Who's doing their makeup? Who's taking the pictures? Who's putting together this like catalog thing? Like, who's doing this? My 9-year-old brain was just so curious. Yeah. So I was like, I want to do that. Yeah. Like, how can I be the model? How can I be the person, putting this together? So then I started having these little functions with my sister, who's an amazing graphic designer, amazing artist. She does all the branding and all the curation for SBJ Essentials. But I started having these little moments with her where I was like, okay, I'm the creative director, producer. I'm like recording you. We're doing the whole thing. And then she was Shakira. So we would put like Shakira music on. We would do our little music videos, little montage. Like it was just so cute. And then anytime my cousin would come over from Ohio, I was like, we're having a photo shoot. Like I'll do your hair, I'll do your makeup. And I just remember putting on these like star stickers on her and like blue shadow and like barrettes, like little clips, twisties with the butterfly clips and like curly. It was just so cute. And I was like, hey, now pose like this. And she would,
oh my gosh.
Do it, which is now they're probably like, oh my God, why was I listening to you? But still. It was so fun. Yeah. It was so fun. And then I went to cosmetology school in high school, graduated when I was 18. It was such a great experience. I really wanted to be like Tekashi from Paul Mitchell. Amazing. Like he was my goals, like super iconic. Yeah. And I actually met him one time. Really? I was walking around America's Beauty Show, and isn't it? Yeah. I was like walking around America's Beauty Show, and I was like, oh, that's him. And I went up to him, and I was like, I know who you are. And like creepy, so creepy. I was like, I know who you are, and you're so amazing. Can I do a picture with you? And he was like, yeah. So I have my picture with him. Yeah. And then after cosmetology school, I went to school for law enforcement. I really wanted to be in I really wanted to be in law enforcement. There's still a little itch there. Like every time I think about it, I'm like, maybe I should go back to school, but that's another conversation for another day.
Will I hype you up for that? Yes.
Yes, I know. I'm like, let's not start there. But so once I was going to school for that, I was working at my mom's office and I was supposed to be punching in time cards. And then like a Makeup Forever ad came up on Yahoo. And I was like, let me just see what this is about. Yeah. I clicked it and I was just like, whoa, like it was like a portal had just opened.
What did the ad say?
It was just like, I think it was like Makeup Forever Academy New York, now enrolling or something like that. And I was like, just so curious. Yeah. But when I clicked on the website and saw everything that they were offering, it was like a different dimension. Like something had just opened up for me. Yeah. And I was like, I have to go here. Yeah. Like I have to go here. I looked at the schedule. Coincidentally, they were enrolling for the next season.
Wow.
I printed out the application. I went in my mom's office. I was like bawling.
Yeah.
I was bawling and I was like, Mom, I need $100. She was like, what are you doing? Where are my time cards? I was like, no, you gotta listen. Like, I gotta move to New York and I'm gonna go to Makeup Forever, and makeup is like, that's the path I have to follow.
Yeah.
And she was like, Jess, like, calm down.
Yeah.
If you feel the same way tomorrow, we can talk about it.
That right there, her saying, if you feel like, she was already supporting. That's amazing.
She's
if you
like
feel the
my
same
A1.
way. Yeah.
Like,
that's awesome.
I love you, Mom. But I came back the next day and I was like, where are my $100?
Yeah.
I didn't forget.
Knock.
And she's like, okay, just, send your application and see what happens.
Yeah.
I don't know how many people applied. Supposedly it was like hundreds.
Yeah,
and out of
I'm
those,
sure.
only like around 20 to 25 got accepted. And then out of that, less than 50% graduated. Less.
Wow.
And it wasn't because the program was bad. It's because the program was so competitive.
Yeah.
I would hop on the subway with hives from how stressed I was of wanting to create beautiful work. My teacher was Florian David, and she is incredible.
Yeah.
She was taught by Danny Sands, who's incredible.
Yeah.
So the level of artistry that you had to
Top tier
was like insane.
Yeah.
And then my colleagues were so talented. So here I am, like, not knowing anything about makeup, literally zero, just knowing that I wanted to do it, being in this environment. And at the end, I just felt like I was such a different person, such a different perspective, such a different, like, love for the actual craft.
Yeah.
And talking about this feels so nice because I think as you go about your career, it becomes kind of like mundane. You just do it. It's like a rinse and repeat because you've been doing it so long. But having this conversation resurfaced like why I loved this career. Yeah. Like, why did I truly love makeup artistry? Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. So fast forward, I moved back to Chicago after graduating at Makeup Forever. Did like film, TV, some celebrity work whenever there were celebrities in town, commercial work, e-com. And then I felt like I had reached like a plateau. Yeah. I really did accomplish everything that was on my list, which feels, again, insane to say because like I'm just a little girl from Mexico who immigrated here at 6 years old, not knowing English. Wow. And then like thinking about the fact that like all these things really came into fruition. Yeah. It's just like, it's so beautiful. Yeah. My husband was going to get transferred to another location for his job out of state. We went and I was like, oh no. Not the vibe. I can't do Virginia. I can't do Virginia.
We love Virginia, but
and it's so beautiful.
It's so pretty.
It's so pretty. But if you have allergies,
not the place. I was in Atlanta. It's the same.
Like, your allergies be active up. So I was like, why don't we move to California? We had talked about it when we met in college. Yeah. And it was always like our little thing of like, oh yeah, when we like get married, we can move to California. Yeah. And I was like, this is a perfect time. Yeah. So we drove here with my son.
So did we.
My little puppy at the time. My husband, my sister helped us through the drive.
Were they already here?
No, she drove. We all drove. Wow. We shoved all our stuff in 2 cars, literally everything in 2 cars, and just drove across the country to follow the good old American dream. And now we're here. Things are happening. I know.
Wow.
It's like crazy.
Yeah.
Like life crazy. Really is such a full circle moment of, all the events. But yeah, good times. But with that, I guess like what has been like one of your favorite experiences as a makeup artist, and then doubling up. What's one thing, because we don't want to give too much away, right? What's one thing that you wish was different? Yeah.
Okay, I'll start with my favorite thing. So it's not necessarily working on someone, because I worked with tons of people, all different ethnicities. I do love that. I love all the different skin tones of everyone, how everyone's skin tone is so different, okay? But during 2020, I started this company called Color May Vary, which is a Black-owned beauty guide that houses over 1,000 beauty brands, okay? So that has actually been one of my favorite things because it's actually giving back to my community, supporting Black-owned brands and sending their information out, sending this guide out to magazines or editors or whoever so that they also can support and write about it and support. So I would say that's one of my favorite experiences so far in my career. And then a bad experience.
Or like something you wish was a little different, within our industry, because we've been in it. We have 30 plus years combined experience.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, that's a lot of knowledge.
Yeah.
We've seen a lot.
We know a lot. With beauty brands, I don't understand why brands launch without being inclusive. And I don't understand why inclusivity is not a first thought with anyone that's starting like a cosmetics brand.
Like, why is it not just standard? Like,
why is it not just standard?
A thing that's like, oh, look at me, I'm being inclusive. We have 60 shades.
Right.
When it's like,
it should just already, and I don't know if you even necessarily need tons of shades. Obviously, you need a range for sure. You need more than 10 shades. You need more than 15, probably 20 to 25. But, when brands launch and they send me product, so I'm like, well, you see who the people that I work on, all the different skin tones. Why would you send me your deepest shade and it's my shade, which I'm super fair. And you're just like, why? So I'll just put those brands aside. I've even, talked, like PR people have come and said, oh, what do you think about this brand? What do you think about the shades? And I will say something about it.
I mean, because you have to be honest. And I think that's what's going to make this podcast like super beautiful is that we're going to come with our most sincere viewpoints. Yeah. I think transparency is so important, not only within the beauty industry, but who you're receiving your information from, right? Yeah. So I feel like with the podcast, one of the things that we were super excited about was the transparency that we're going to have. Yeah. And it's always going to come from a place of love. Yeah. Always from a place of love. But it is important to talk about these things that do matter. Yeah. And without a discussion, how can it then become thought-provoking, or how can it then plant a seed, or how can it then hopefully change? Yeah.
I think you're right about that. But I want to ask you the same questions.
My favorite experience, I think my favorite experience will always be my first job as a makeup artist. Yeah. My first job was with Victoria's Secret's The Fashion Show in New York. Wow. And I remember my friend being like, hey, Victoria's Secret's is looking for makeup artists for their runway show, which, by the way, the most iconic one with Rihanna, like the most iconic show. Yeah. Are you like available? I was like, yes. Like, I don't know what time it is. I don't know how many hours. I don't care what they pay. Yes, I'm available. Yeah. And she was like, okay, well, they're going to call you. So make sure like you're on standby. And my phone was at like 2% in New York. I was like screaming. I was like, I cannot believe this is happening to me. Like freaking out. I told one of my friends, I was like, we got to run to like a Verizon Wireless or whatever store was around. It was like some weird cell phone store. Yeah. And I walked in there. I was like, I need a charger. And they were like, ma'am, calm down. And I was like, nah, this is a life, opportunity of a lifetime. They're like, sorry, Secrets is calling. They ended up calling. They were like, are you? Yes. Right. Are you? Yes. I'm there. Yeah. And I still have my lanyard with my little picture on it. And every time I look at it, I just think about that like hopeful teen who had zero clue what she was doing. Zero clue. Yeah. But knew where she wanted to go. Wow. And I look at that and I'm just like, wow, you're that girl, because I feel like a lot of the times, especially being in this field, there's so much comparison happening of like, well, this person's doing this and this person has these clients and this person, whatever it is. Yeah. And I think it's so important to have those moments of like gratitude and grounding where you look at what you have accomplished. Yeah. Like there was a time back in the day when you wished you would have done X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
And then you recollect these moments and you're like, dang, I actually did it.
Yeah.
And it's like being so proud. And I think about Insecure and Issa Rae talking to herself in the mirror.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's me.
Yeah.
Like me just being like, you got it today.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're going to go do your thing, you know?
Yeah.
Every single day.
Yeah.
Because if we don't believe in ourselves, like, who is?
Right. Exactly.
You know? And I think one of not so positive experience is, I think the same around like 2020. This is like the thing that has stuck with me the most throughout the years. I mean, there's been a lot of things, but in 2020, I founded SBJ Essentials, which is a Latinx brand for the essential self-care needs of the modern world. And the brand is rooted in Latin culture. I'm Mexican. So I really wanted to put a lot of emphasis on the herbal knowledge, ancestral practices, my core memory with my grandmother of self-caring together, and infusing that into the brand. Yeah. And I wanted to share that sense of like self-care, self-love with my community. So during that time, I obviously couldn't do makeup because it was like super icky to be in people's face. Right. Like for me, for them, for everyone was like so uncomfortable. Yeah. So I was like, what am I going to do? And when I had this idea of, you know, providing self-care moments for my community, I was like, how am I going to do that? So it turned into like a product form of creating our first product, which is Rosa Clay Mask. It was shown so much love by so many major publications, so many major outlets, so many major department stores reaching out to me, right? Like in what world? Right. In what world? Wow. But that was the power of 2020.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a powerful. And I'm just going to say with SBJ, her products are amazing. Thank you. The design, everything. Shout out to her sister. But the products are absolutely beautiful. One of my favorites is her new launch is the tea.
It's so good.
You guys, it's so good. It's so good.
It's so delicious. Like it truly, not just because it's mine, but every single time I have it, I'm like, wow, this is really good.
Yummy. Like you don't even need to put any sweetener in it. It's so good. It's like rose, lavender.
Rose, chamomile, cinnamon, vanilla.
The cinnamon, yeah. And so it just smells so good.
It's so rich. It's really rich. But
so good.
You know, that was the power of 2020. And I think and I say we as in them. I say we as in them have dropped the ball on continuing that inclusivity. Yeah. Continuing that diversity.
Yeah. Like what happened?
Continuing that equity within Black and brown communities. Yeah. We see it sprinkled here and there, but it has become something where it's like a fad again. You know what I mean? Where it's like, look at this brown brand we have on our shelves. Look at this Black brand we have on our shelves. Yeah. You know?
Or I have the darkest shade.
Or you know? Whatever. It's become such a marketing thing for not only brands, but also, and brands that are not POC owned. Yeah. Brands and major box retailers that I'm at the point where I'm kind of like, over it. Yeah. In a sense where like my hopefulness of what I thought 2020 was going to really carry over throughout the years is like, it's a little shattered if I'm honest, you know, like I know that there has been so much progress. I will never deny that. I know that 2020 brought so much 100%. Progress.
So much awareness.
It brought like definitely like this sense of holding yourself accountable to who you hire on your team, how much diversity there is within a major company. Yeah. All of these things, the products that you create. Yeah. But I feel like instead of it being genuine now, again, it's like a marketing ploy. Yeah. And I think that has been one of the hardest things to swallow since being in the beauty industry, because before you just knew it wasn't for you. Yeah. Like, you were okay with that because that's just how it was. Yeah. You know what I mean? There was no activism behind it. Yeah. But now that the conversation has switched and you know the beauty industry, not only is it financially backed by people of color, Latinos make up one of the highest spending powers
for sure
in the industry, along with Black people. Not only do we fuel it, but now we're used almost like as bait. Yeah. you know? So I think that that's
Yes.
really like heart-wrenching for me,
Yeah.
is the fact that as a community, now I'm talking about us, like as a community, there's so much education that needs to happen for that dynamic to change, and for us to really understand the power that we have in our purchasing, the power that we have as people, the influence we have created generationally, the influence we have in culture, the influence we have in beauty, the influence we have in trend setting. Like, we're pretty iconic. And this is why we're here, to talk about these
Exactly.
things.
We are here to share. I mean, even while you were just talking, so many just topics come up, you know, buying within our community. You know, that is something that we don't necessarily do, you know.
And it's a conditioning. It's a conditioning that has been placed for so many decades. And what's really beautiful about us having these conversations is that if I can do anything on this podcast, if I am able to plant a seed somewhere that then encourages you to have a different perspective or explore a different perspective, I will be like satisfied. You know what I mean? If I'm able to just inspire some sort of thought that wasn't there before, like, we're doing our job.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the same thing is, you know, if I can introduce people to something they haven't thought about before, and this is any Black, brown, Asian,
yellow, purple, green.
Yeah, all the different ethnicities. Bring new brands, bring new thoughts.
And I think that's so important, the brands, because even myself, like, we just posted something on our Instagram, which is onhue.podcast. Go follow if you haven't already.
Yes.
We posted, you know, like a little carousel of Latin-owned brands, right? Latina, Hispanic, Latino, Latinx owned brands. And even for us to have to do the research, you're just like, whoa, they are out there.
Yeah.
But let's be real, like, our SEO ain't strong.
No.
Like, we don't know, like, all these brands are small owned brands who have one, maybe two, maybe on a really good day, 3 people helping out. You know what I mean? So the amount of resources that these small brands need versus the amount of resource, let's say like a Rare Beauty or like a Tata Harper needs is so different. And it's also our job to take the time to find the brands who need that extra spotlight.
Yes, I'm excited for that. Even with our post, I was so excited to feature these smaller brands that don't get a lot of, they get love, but they don't get like love, you know, like they should be. And these brands are amazing. Their branding is amazing. Their posts look amazing.
Founders, everything.
The founders, the products are top tier. So I think like this is going to be amazing. Just bringing all these new thoughts and brands and ideas, awareness to our listeners. I'm really looking forward to it.
And I think because we have had such diverse experiences too, a lot of similar ones, but some, you know, that are pretty unique in themselves. I think that it's going to bring such a great like perspective to the industry from the lens of a woman of color. Because there's a lot of podcasts, let's be real. There's a lot of beauty podcasts. But none specifically curated. Or none specifically with the voice of a woman of color. And I think that is so important because we make up such a small piece of the actual like industry. Yet we fuel the industry. You know what I mean? So that like disconnect, I think like On Hue definitely fills that gap. And I'm just really excited to build a community with all of our listeners, really excited to hear their thoughts, really excited to get to know them, really excited to like know what they're interested in, you know?
And speaking of that, we do want to know what our listeners are interested in. You know, if there's anyone that worked at MAC, has a MAC story.
Share your MAC story.
Or,
my first MAC product was the 224 brush, and I still have
classic.
it. Yes, like what was I using it for at 10 years old? I don't know.
But it felt good.
I don't know. It felt good. I was like, this is
it was I don't know what it's made of now.
It was animal hair.
It was
back
sable.
in the day. Yeah,
I remember like
sable.
saying it's sable hair.
Yeah. Which that's a whole nother conversation, which I'm really excited to talk about. But yeah, if you have any questions, head over to our website.
Yeah.
On Hue podcast.com and fill out the form. We want to know your Mac stories. We want to know what you're excited about when it comes to the podcast, what topics you would like to hear. If you just want to say hello, please send us a little message. Honestly, like as many hype people we can get to be in our corner, like we're here for it. Just a little you're doing so good is sometimes all you need. Which reminds me also, reach out to your friends.
Yeah.
Let them know they're doing amazing. Yeah. You know, that's so important.
Yeah. Our next episode will be about BIPOC beauty in politics. I won't say too much.
That's enough, Renee.
I almost said too much, but BIPOC beauty in politics. It is right on time. So we are so excited to dive deep into that. And then what you can look forward to are...
culturally rich episodes, insider perspective. We're gonna have different tiers for our listeners who want to have an experiential experience. And giveaways. So if you're not signed up to our newsletter, be sure to hit the link in our bio and sign up to the On Hue newsletter. And then we're also gonna have IRL events. We're having our first one at Ground Floor.
Shout out to Ground Floor.
And we just want to say thank you so much to Ground Floor for sponsoring their space, for allowing us to power our podcast through them. And to all of you guys for listening. And we cannot wait to share our next episode with you. So if you haven't already, be sure to follow us on all of our platforms. We're everywhere. TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, you name it, we're there.
Just
Spotify.
Look up On Hue.
Just look us up. And
if you go to our Instagram, there's a link and everything is there for you to follow or subscribe.
But that's it for us today, you guys. We cannot wait to tune in for episode 2. And remember to embrace every hue of who you are.
See you guys.